Alright, we're doing this. I got this new Uniqlo shirt, and it is definitely one of my favorite shirts of all time. What's up, guys? It's been a while for me to make one of these YouTube videos. So today I'm kind of talking about spec ads, and one that I personally did myself with a couple friends and a team of people. Recently I did a Apple spec ad, and if you've followed me, you've definitely seen this on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram, or even if it's on the Facebook page, it's Facebook. But I kind of want to talk about a little bit behind the scenes ish, and kind of how we kind of came up with the concept and idea of basically how this shoot went down. So basically it all kind of started with me and Gus and Peng all sitting at a coffee shop, really trying to plan out this year with what we kind of want to do. Me and Peng definitely have been trying to start a lot more projects and doing a lot more spec ads. And one thing that we kind of came up with collectively was to all challenge each other to shoot a spec ad and to try to produce the best quality we can within a time constraint. So essentially our challenge to each other was within 1 hour shoot a spec ad, play around with lighting and try to focus on lighting and try to create an amazing piece of content out of it. Oh, it's the other show here, and I am here to tell you to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'll be making a lot more of things, and if you're enjoying it, again, like and subscribe, because I need more subscribers. Back to the video. So now we get into the planning. So planning this was a little bit easier, but yet hard at the same time. One of the easy parts was trying to find a model. The person we landed on was Nikia. The other essential piece was finding a studio. Now this was a little bit harder in a sense, because what we wanted to do was we wanted to have the Apple aesthetic and vibe, which is very neutral and white toned basically. We tried to find a studio that had a big white wall and enough space for us to do a lot of lighting. So we ended up landing on one that we found on Pure Space. Had a big white wall, and one thing that we're really trying to do was trying to find a place that we might have been able to hook lights up on from the ceiling. A lot of the other stuff with ceiling lights, we kind of compensated with C-stands and a lot more adjustment things that I'll get into later. The next step was getting a crew. And for this crew, we went with Carlos, Dev, Trin, and Marky. We kind of just put out a call, seeing who would want to come out and help and just be a part of a production team. And they're the ones who answered the call, so Avengers assemble. Next, we kind of just went over the equipment we needed. Basically, it's pretty simple, mainly just lighting, camera setups. I think the lighting was probably the most important thing that we kind of went over that we really want to nail down, so that's basically about it. One thing we did request is to have Gus bring his NAND light. Realistically, that always seems like a very niche set of lighting. So once we had all that planned out and we were all pretty solid on what we kind of wanted and needed, came shoot day. And I'll go briefly over just kind of what Peng and Gus did, because that's kind of like their own thing that they should probably talk about, so I'll mainly talk about mine. But just a brief overview of each and everyone's shoots. Peng was the first to go. He kind of went for a lot more moody, cinematic feeling. So his lighting setup was top down, and that was basically the main source of light. He was the kind of dude that wanted a quiet silence on the set, so we kind of give him that quietness and let him focus it out. Gus was the third one, so I was the second, but a little bit about Gus's. Gus's was a lot more simplistic. It was basically a one position camera setup. We used one of the couches in the studio, and his lighting was a little bit more than what we both wanted in a sense of positionings on them. He was a lot more intricate with the lighting sources and how the light was being casted onto the model. His turned out pretty good. Post it, dude. You should really post it. So now we'll just get into mine. So my project was basically the most complicated. I really wanted to challenge myself to try to make something super complicated within 1 hour. And Honestly, it didn't turn out the way I wanted to, but it did turn out a lot better than I expected. So initially my first idea was basically to have a projector playing within the background, kind of scrolling through periods of music, before going into the whole section of the Apple headphones and the music kind of playing today. So essentially the vibe was music throughout the generations leading up to now and feeling that music. So when trying to set up the projector, we realized that I ordered this too. The $50 projector on Amazon definitely was underpowered. On camera, it wasn't showing up exactly the way I wanted to, and honestly, just setting it up and having it play was an issue too, because it was very dependent on the actual sounds that I did. So what I actually did was, before production day, I made a snippet video of having the videos play through the projector. I added the sounds in there so that it would be cues for the model to know when to do certain actions. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. The projector was kind of faulty. It wasn't the way I wanted it to be. Realistically, I probably needed like a way more high quality projector. Nonetheless, I had to pivot. And knowing that I had to pivot mid setup and losing time, I was very stretched thin on time when it came to an hour. So what I decided to do was basically cut that portion of the video of the projector and basically already lead into the rest of the video that I actually had planned, which honestly it worked out a lot better than I thought it was gonna. And from there, a lot of it was basically focusing on my lighting. The lighting was probably the most important part out of doing this whole shoot. I set up a overhead lighting. We kind of had Carlos climb up on the ladder and basically manually hold the light for a very long period of time. I mean, obviously had assistance with the C-stand, but he was a trooper for that. And just knowing that we had the height restrictions with the light, Nakia had heels on, and so I just told her to take off the heels to give us a little bit more of that room when we were doing the stand-up shots with the table. We kept the lighting the same for the most part. There was one shot where I did have Nakia turn 90 degrees. We had the top-down lighting, but then we had another light in front of her that would slowly turn on as it went on. So those are the main beginning shots that I really wanted out of it. And then it came down to one of my favorite parts out of the whole shoot on my segment, and I call it the Everything Everywhere All at Once shot. Everything Everywhere All at Once is probably one of my favorite movies of all time, if not my most favorite movie of all time. And if you've seen it, you'll know what I mean when I say there's the segment into the movie where you see the actor Michelle Yeoh looking at her husband, and the lights are kind of just fluttering around in their faces and showing the emotions that they're feeling through it. You know, it's a very powerful scene, and you know, you necessarily don't think about how the lighting really evokes that emotion, but that is something that I wanted to kind of put into my video. This was a very important scene for me, and it was something that I wanted to replicate to the best of my abilities. This part out of Everything Everywhere All at Once was honestly one of my favorite aspects of the movie, aside from everything else great about that movie. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. Honestly, the scene was saved by Gus's nan light. The fact that we only had one nan light was kind of crazy when we were shooting it. It was pretty surprising on how much it lit up the room when we were using it. It honestly really saved my vision for the video, just knowing that first half of it was just cut. When the lights were flashing, I had the model kind of like bob her head a little bit to the music. We had it playing in the background. I also told her to, you know, dance a little bit to kind of show that, you know, these Apple headphones are, you know, giving you the satisfaction of, you know, evoking that emotion and, you know, the joy that the music that you can hear through the headphones. Honestly, watching this scene through my monitor was so fulfilling as a creator. Like, you think as a creator things that you see in your head, and when I saw that screen on my monitor, it was so surreal for me. Like, I was just overjoyed just knowing that I was live seeing my vision come to life before my very eyes. That was my scene. I mean, everything kind of turned out a lot better than I assumed it was going to, just knowing that my initial idea was being cut. And realistically, I think it kind of worked better than what I originally planned. When editing it and finishing the project, my final thoughts were that this turned out so good to me. You know, some people might not think that it's the best, and I understand that. I definitely think it could be better, but just knowing that with so much time constraint during shoot day, planning things out and having things go wrong, and then creating something that still looks pretty decent was just amazing to me. You know, before this, I was doing a lot of shoots for other people, and it honestly seems to go that way a lot more than I anticipated it to be. Doing this and setting time aside for me to, you know, pursue my own creativity kind of reignited a lot of passion for me and why I did filmmaking. And I truly could not thank my team enough. Gus and Peng for helping me be basically co-directors, and then also my team, you know, Carlos, Dev, Trin, Marky. Couldn't have done it without them. Honestly, could not have done it without them. Being able to create these with no restrictions and creative freedom with, you know, people that you enjoy being around is just the best feeling. I highly recommend anyone to go out there and shoot spec ads, whether it be small or big productions. You know, you can honestly shoot something in your home like coffee, gloves, shoes, or you can go bigger and you can, just like us, rent a studio. You know, you can put a lot more preparation into it and invest a lot more into it. You know, these spec ads definitely are speculative ads that can help you land things in the future and to show, you know, companies, potential clients, what you're truly capable of if you're given the creative freedom and are able to do things, you know, that are up to your full skill level. I say rent a studio, wrangle up a crew, make a concept, invest in yourself to be a creative. The thing about creativity is that it's not linear. It's truly up to your imagination on what you can create. So I hope you guys learned a little bit more on a spec ad and kind of how a commercial production shoot would go. You know, definitely, you know, this was in a sense a little bit smaller than most big budgeted commercial productions, but nonetheless, the great things you can create on such a minimal scale level is higher than what you would really think it is. So I really hope you guys take away something out of this. Uniqlo, oh my god, these are like